guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is The Daily Show, where we give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today, looking fancy, is Jon Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the Collider Video Studios here in Burbank, California, and it's a pizza-loving kind of day.
Oh, yeah. Also here, Jon Schnepp.
They didn't have enough masks, so I'm holding this amazing Blu-ray. And I can't wait to eat this giant pizza.
Also here, Mark Ellis.
I got to be Leo. He's the emotional leader, and he takes care of Splinter even when Raphael does something really stupid and off-book and something we don't need for the team.
Why do you point at me when you keep doing that? Anyway, hey, listen, you might have noticed something a little bit different about the set. The first thing I want to point out here is this giant box sitting on this table. You know, I want you guys to appreciate what we got here. So, guys, if I can have you mosey on up here. Where's Riley? Here he comes. Here comes Dennis. We got this incredible, what is this, a 36-inch monster. Look at that.
I'm going to eat some.
Let him see the cover. Let him see the top of the box there, too, if we can. Now, what we've done to you today, oh, look at that, and thank you to our friends at Paramount for this. What we are doing here today is we are celebrating, as Jon Schnepp kind of pointed out, that yesterday, the digital version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, is available on digital, and this incredible Blu-ray. The Blu-ray comes out on the 20th, so you're going to want to keep your eyes open for that. And they were kind enough to provide us too, if you look around the set here a little bit, these are all portraits of the Turtles that are influenced, let's go to our wide shot here, that are influenced by the legendary artist for which after they are named. So we got, I love that one behind Ashley and Mark. That one's amazing.
It's
I love all of them here.
You got the Leonardo, like Mona Lisa. Leonardo, I love the Ninja Turtles, guys. And Leonardo's my favorite Ninja Turtle. The Mikey is a close second. So not only am I thrilled to be here on the set wearing Leo's mask, but anytime you have a pizza box so big, you need two assistants to come out and show it to us properly. That's a good morning at the office.
And you can't really tell but behind Mark here, I think that's Raph. And I think he's standing on, is that Bebop he's standing on?
Oh, yeah.
Like you guys can't quite see it in the picture, but I mean, this is some great art around here. You know what? We're going to take some pictures of these. Make sure you guys are following us on Twitter. We're going to take some pictures of these close up so you guys can take a look at this artwork that's up here. And again, special thanks to our friends at Paramount for bringing in the pizza feast that we're going to have a little bit later, bringing in the Blu-ray, bringing these amazing pieces of art. Now, before we get into our regularly scheduled list of stories that we have to cover here today, something, as happens once in a while, dropped at the very last second before we started this show. That is, a new Underworld trailer has dropped. There's a brand new Underworld. Now, we've heard that there was a new Underworld movie coming. I'm going to tell you right up front that when I heard a new one was coming, I was not excited. I was very intrigued with the first Underworld film. I feel like they've declined in quality ever since. But I always felt like that first Underworld movie had elements to it that had an awful lot of promise and potential. You know, it's like, you know, there's an amazing movie franchise in here. They've created something that has amazing potential. So the new trailer drops today. I said up front, I have not been excited for this. But look, I'm going to tell you, I watched the trailer. You know what? I liked it. I got a kick out of it. I thought it looked pretty good. Any chance we get to see Kate Beckinsale in tight leather is a good day to me. But besides that, it looks like it's going to be a little bit more exciting. It looks like they're going a little bit more visceral, which I think they got away from a little bit with the franchise. Definitely. And, you know, to me, it kind of looked like fun. I know, Schnepp, you just watched it for the first time with me. What did you think about the Underworld trailer?
I liked it. I mean, I think I agree with you. I think the first and the second Underworld films were really fun with like vampires fighting werewolves. And I think they did a really good job at establishing these secret underground cults of vampires who are hunting the Lycan. And then the third film kind of went back in time and just didn't nail it for me. And then the fourth film, I believe it was called Awakening. Yeah, I didn't. It felt like a departure from the Underworld series, too much of a departure, and it was like, why are we following these cops? And where? I mean, it just felt like they lost their way. So it feels like with this fifth film, it feels like they've come back kind of into the fold of the first and the second one. I got a chance to write the animated version of
I totally
of
forgot
Underworld.
that.
Yeah, it was called Endless Wars, and we did like kind of an anime thing. So if you want to see it, it's on YouTube. It was part of a special edition, like Blu-ray extra feature, whatever. But it's like, check it out. It's called Endless Wars, and I feel like it's a cool way to get back into Underworld. And then you watch this trailer and you see that they're dropping that kind of style that was in through the first two films. So I am looking forward to it.
What do you think, Mark?
All right, so we can't have the pizza until after movie talk.
Correct.
Saw the trailer, didn't like it that much. Next question. I just still don't care about Underworld that much. I really don't. Like, every time I click on the trailer, it's a neat looking trailer. There's a lot of cool effects shots. I like the lore, the mythology. Seems like it would be interesting. It's just never translated to a feature film for me. So I can't be like, oh, okay, this is the Underworld movie that's going to sell me. I'm going to have to be in the theater and see it. So right now, I can't get that too jacked about a trailer.
You know what was one real exceptional thing about that first film, and I believe it was the third one? Michael Sheen, Masters of Sex's Michael Sheen as Lucian.
Great
the
acting.
leader of the werewolf, like amazing in that. All right, let's get on with our first official story of the day.
Director James Gunn has been asked one too many times about the status of his Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 trailer, and he's had it. The director took to his Facebook page recently to explain why it doesn't matter how many times you ask him to reveal the Volume 2 trailer. It's not going to happen until a time that has already been decided upon by Marvel. And although he's grateful for the folks interested in seeing his film, he cites schedule as the main reason, and no matter how many times he's asked on social
Disaster
media...
on set.
Not the pizza! Not the pizza!
The pizza is safe, which is dozens of times a day. What is done is done. John, what do you think about the fans' constant questions to Gunn about the Guardians trailer?
You know, what's funny is that James Gunn, first of all, is like one of my favorite filmmakers today. Not just because I think he makes fun, immersive, kind of like off-the-wall screwball kind of movies. I am always talking about Super, and I'm always talking about Slither, and Guardians of the Galaxy is really just an extension of a bigger budget version of a James Gunn film. But I love the way James Gunn is constantly making himself available to his fans online and taking a lot of questions. However, when you make yourself that accessible and you make yourself so fan-friendly, what can happen is fans start to feel sometimes like they are entitled, that they are owed, that they have ownership of what this is. And James Gunn went on to talk about how it's cool that people want the trailer, and that's awesome that people are excited about the trailer. But he went on to talk about, he posted a couple of pictures of him taking a weekend away, and people writing, "Why the F aren't you making the trailer? What, why blah blah blah?" Like they're entitled. Like sometimes people forget that these artists and these studios and these movie divisions, they are providing a service and providing a product. They are under no obligation to give anything to you, to me, to us, whenever they don't want to. And I think sometimes, and that's when fandom can go a little bit too far, is that we go from just being super excited about it to feeling like we are entitled. And I think it was interesting that James Gunn decided to address that. Say, look, we're making the movie and we're making the trailer and we're going to release it when we release it. And I love that you're excited about it, but we are under no obligation to give it to you now just because you want it now. And how many times, Schnepp, are we always saying, we got fans writing to us, why isn't a trailer for this dropped? And we're like, because the movie doesn't open for another year and a half.
Right.
I mean, the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is a little closer than that, but so everybody just needs to take a breath. Anyway, Mark, you read these comments. What do you think about James Gunn's comments?
James Gunn, I think he's a great director. He does great fan service, and welcome to social media, because this is what happens: is that I posted pictures at Disneyland, and I'll get somebody commenting, "Why didn't you like Suicide Squad?" And it's like, I'm just hanging out with Mickey right now,
Right.
And people do feel a level of entitlement that they never felt before. It's a huge shift in how we interact with human beings since the advent of Facebook and Twitter and all these other wonderful ways to communicate, and sometimes it happens a little bit too much. It's not going to stop anytime soon. The only way to prevent it is either to make all of your different accounts private and don't post that kind of stuff, or you just don't check the comments that much. I mean, even us, who are nowhere near the level of James Gunn, get a lot of comments, and sometimes if you're not feeling it, you just have to take a break and not read the comments. I think that James Gunn is one of those guys that loves communicating with fans, and sometimes you do have to let them know this is no longer cool that you keep asking me about this. I think it's great what he did, but I also don't think it's going to change much.
Schnepp, what do you think about his comments?
I totally agree, and it's important to stay on target. Like, if he's posting something about Guardians of the Galaxy, then by all means, ask him, hey, when's that trailer going to come out? If he's posting a memoriam to Gene Wilder, stay on the subject matter and mention something about, like, I loved Young Frankenstein. Don't ask him about the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxies. Why? Because you look stupid when you do that. You look like you're a crazy person. That's when I get people, if I post something and somebody's like, hey, when is this going to happen? Has nothing to do with what I posted about. I feel like, who is this person? They're out of touch. And I think that's one of the things you want to do as somebody who's trying to communicate with other people. Stay on target. Use Porkins or whoever the guy was from Star Wars.
Target.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny too because like we all have these similar kind of things. Like I'll post something on, out celebrate. I'll share a Facebook post with somebody, a picture, and saying out celebrating the birthday of my amazing wife. Happy birthday, baby. And then like third comment down is, why do you think critics hate Suicide Squad? It's like that. What?
Nice.
What?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry about that. I really wanted your take on it, and I couldn't wait until you and Ann were done celebrating. But that was me. That was my bad, guys.
All right, what's next?
THR reports that another sequel to the Shanghai franchise is on the way, entitled Shanghai Dawn, with Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson in talks to reprise their roles, and Napoleon Dynamite director Jared Hess coming aboard to take the helm. Story details are being kept under wraps, with Hess working from a screenplay by Theodore Riley and Aaron Buchsbaum. A release date has not been set. Mark, what do you think about a Shanghai sequel reuniting Chan and Wilson with Jared Hess directing?
Well, if I didn't buy the Underworld trailer, it's going to be hard to get too excited about this. But look, the thing I will say is that Jackie Chan is going to be honored with one of those like Lifetime Achievement kind of Oscars later this year.
Yes, well deserved.
And I never really care that much about the Shanghai Noon or Shanghai Nights or anything. I did love Ben Stiller's joke at the Oscars. You guys remember this? He was presenting with Owen Wilson, and it was in between Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights. He's like, oh yeah, I heard you guys are making a sequel to Shanghai Noon. What are you going to call it? Shanghai 12:30? Like, I just thought it was so funny. And that's the most pleasure I've gotten out of those movies. I'm sure they're fun for what they are. I don't know there's been a huge clamor for that, but maybe it's going to be fun to see those guys back in action. So I'm not too excited about it, but I don't hate the idea.
I got to tell you, look, I'm very torn about this because unlike yourself, I adored Shanghai Noon. It was one of those comedies that really caught me by surprise because at that point, I think a lot of the North American audience had maybe heard of Jackie Chan. They knew he had already put out Rumble in the Bronx in North America, so there was a kind of aware of him there. But to see him come out and do a flat-out comedy with Owen Wilson, that's really the film. Owen Wilson had already been around, but that's the one that kind of made Owen Wilson a household name, was when he appeared in this. I thought that movie was fantastic. I loved it, and I loved the chemistry between Chan and Owen Wilson. I did not like Shanghai Nights. That was a big disappointment to me, especially considering how much I really enjoyed the original. But I still, even within that movie that I didn't like, the chemistry between Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson I thought was really solid and really fun. So that makes me torn now. Is this a little too late? Yeah, this movie is way too late. This movie, if you wanted to do this, it should have been done years ago. But if they have a cool idea for a story, that's fine. And I'm excited because I love Shanghai Noon. I like the chemistry between these guys. But here's where I'm torn. On the one hand, really excited. On the other hand, not so excited about Hess directing. I'll be honest with you, because I got excited about Hess directing Nacho Libre with Jack Black. And that movie was horrendously bad. Just awful. And that really hurt me because I loved what he did with Napoleon Dynamite. So I'm going to go into this new Shanghai, whatever they're going to call it, Shanghai Dawn maybe. I'm going to go into Shanghai Dawn with very mixed expectations, and maybe that's a good thing. So a little excitement, little trepidation. We'll see how it works out. Schnepp, what about you?
Yeah, you should call it Shanghai Redemption.
Yeah, that'd be a great
13
one.
years later, the sequel nobody cared about is finally being made. I don't really understand it because I agree with you. I thought Shanghai Noon, when it came out in the year 2000, was fine. It was funny. I think I love Jackie Chan, and he was at the height of his amazing powers and skill. Shanghai Nights was a bad film, and it made me forget about that idea of it being a franchise. So why is it being brought back from the dead? No one cares about this third film. I don't think anyone really cares.
I care a little.
Jared Hess, I'm happy. I love Napoleon Dynamite. I did not see Nacho Libre, so I can't have that that back and forth with you. So I'm kind of excited for him to get a shot at making some kind of a weird comedy with Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson. So that's the only redeeming part for myself to see this film. I guess it'll come out in 2 years, so it'll be like 15 years later.
Would y'all rather see a new Rush Hour movie or a new Shanghai Nights movie? I mean, I would go Rush Hour all day.
Yeah, I would go Rush
I think
Hour.
Chris Tucker's so funny, and Owen Wilson's fine, but I like the Rush Hour movies better than the Shanghai series so far.
Like
so.
Rush Hour for me is 1 for 3. I thought the first one wasn't so good. I thought the second one was awesome, and I hated the third one. But I would, just like Shanghai Noon, I would be game for another Rush Hour. I would. I don't know why I would, but I would. I would be game for it.
Well,
so.
the next time you post something personal on your Instagram page, I look forward to asking you, why did you hate Shanghai Nights?
All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show now for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down, and then those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Shia LaBeouf was almost a part of the DC Extended Universe. As part of a profile of the actor in Variety, the actor revealed that after his turn in David Ayer's World War II film Fury, director David Ayer tried to bring him on board for Suicide Squad in a role that eventually went to Scott Eastwood. LaBeouf, however, said that it was actually WB that vetoed his participation. I don't think Warner Brothers wanted me. I went in to meet and they were like, nah, you're crazy. You're a good actor, but not this one. It was a big investment for them. Schnepp, would you buy or sell Shia LaBeouf in Suicide Squad?
I'm glad he wasn't in it. I like Shia LaBeouf. I thought he was great in Fury. I think he's a good actor when he's in a film that can pull that acting out of him. He definitely has a lot of issues in his personal life. I mean, I hated that he basically plagiarized Daniel Clow's comic book and tried to pass it off as his own original work. That's kind of unforgivable. So hopefully, he's going to go through some form of redemption for that. Maybe Shanghai Redemption. He should be in that film, being part of the trilogy and make that film not suck, or maybe make it suck more. But yeah, Shia LaBeouf, weird decision making. I'm glad he's not in Suicide Squad. Like his bizarro choices. What was that one film called? Charlie Countryman or something?
Oh, yeah,
That was
damn.
great.
That was
I thought
really
that was an
good.
amazingly well-made
Yeah.
film, and he was great in that. So when he can shine, he does, and sometimes he just makes horrible decisions.
You brought up Fury in the notes. Like, there's just flat. If there's anybody out there who questions, because of all the antics that Shia LaBeouf has off the set and behind the cameras and all that kind of stuff, if that has made you doubt or question whether or not this dude's a legit world-class actor, see Fury. See the one that you were just referring
Charlie
to.
Countryman.
Yeah, because I wasn't aware of that film till you and Holly brought it up to me, and then I watched it like, holy crap. And if you see him in Fury, like, that dude is acting along some world-class actors in that, and he might have been the best performance in that movie. I mean, he was absolutely incredible. I'm not so concerned about a lot of his off-camera antics per se. As long as he isn't beating up people and sending them to the hospital, then that's whatever. I don't really care. But I am also glad he wasn't in Suicide Squad, but for a different reason. I'm glad because when you watch that movie and you see the role that Scott Eastwood played, it wasn't much of a role. It would have felt like a bit of a waste to me to have a guy like Shia LaBeouf in that role that was so come and go with it, had a couple of passing lines, and then he very unceremonially kind of departs the film at the same time. So, yeah, because I just don't think it would have been worth his time or Warner Brothers, I'm glad he wasn't there. What do you think?
Yeah, he's a guy that I look forward to seeing in independent kind of projects. Like, there's American Honey movie has coming out. I think that could be something pretty special along the lines of a Charlie Countryman performance. But when he's in a big budget movie, I think that his off-screen antics detract from the promotional vehicle that is the movie, and especially with something like Suicide Squad. There's no reason for him to be in that, and there's no reason, honestly, for the headache. If you want to make him the star of something, it's worth the investment. But if you're just going to throw him in that little role that Scott Eastwood disappeared into, because there wasn't much there anyway, then why waste it on Shia LaBeouf, who's going to detract somewhat and make it about him more so than the project, is my feeling on that. I mean, I think a lot of that off-screen stuff is just an act anyway, but it just feels like it would have taken away from Suicide Squad and what they were trying to do when they were marketing that movie. So I think it was the right call to put somebody else in there.
He could have been the character Baghead. You just like wear a brown bag over his head. Then, I think that would have been cool.
He could have been the motivational speaker for Suicide Squad. Every time they don't want to go, just
Do it! Do it! it.
Yeah.
All right, Ash, what's next?
Lionsgate has released 2 new Blair Witch TV spots that actually tease the title demon from the movie. In the film, a group of college students venture into the Black Hills Forest in Maryland to uncover the mysteries surrounding the disappearance of Heather Donahue. Blair Witch is directed by Adam Wingard and written by Simon Barrett, who previously teamed up for Your Next and The Guest. Blair Witch hits theaters on September 16th. John, buy or sell the new TV spots for Blair Witch?
You know, I got to buy it, actually. I really enjoyed it. And, you know, Blair Witch kind of won Comic-Con. Like, often people will say, okay, so who won Comic-Con this year? Was it DC or was it Marvel? Blair Witch won Comic-Con this year. When they dropped that bombshell on everybody, that movie, The Woods, we've been talking about, it's actually Blair Witch, and that's all anybody, like, we were there, boots on the ground at Comic-Con, and that's all everybody was buzzing about. It was crazy. And then they did a special screening. Everybody who saw the screening came out completely amazed by the film. A number of the people who I know that are what I would consider horror aficionados loved this movie. I have not seen it yet, but I am stoked about it. I'm hearing they went in a great direction. The marketing has looked really sharp to me. This TV spot is just an extension of that. So for me, it is a big buy. Mark?
Yeah, it's a huge buy for me. I love seeing these because it's the same style of tone that we saw from the original Blair Witch movie. I think that what the modern advances, if you will, in found footage are going to make it a little more palatable to the eye to the watch. So you're not going to walk out of the theater with a headache like you might have during the first Blair Witch, but it still has the same style. You feel like you're back in the woods in Burkittsville, Maryland, looking for this crazy being. I love what these TV spots brought to the table, and I am so excited to check this movie out.
Schnepp?
I've been sold on this since Simon and Adam were mentioned about, like, once at Comic-Con, I was like, I still want to see The Woods. When are you guys going to make that? But now that we got Blair Witch coming, I've seen the trailers for it, and I'm not going to watch any more spots. That's what my decision was. Like, I am going to see this film. I'm already going to see this film. I don't want to see any more footage. If you're on the fence about seeing the film, then definitely watch these spots, because I think that's what these additional spots do for people. If you saw the trailer and you're like, I'm 100% going to go see this movie, don't watch any more trailers, just watch the movie. But if you're like on the fence about it, these are those selling points. So,
and you know, I want to point out too that our very own Perry, she actually sat down, did an interview with Blair Witch writer Simon Barrett. So if you want to check that interview out, just search for it on our Collider video channel. All right, what's next?
Sony Pictures has released the first Passengers poster for their upcoming sci-fi film starring Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. Directed by the Imitation Games' Morton Tildum, Passengers is about a spacecraft traveling to a distant colony planet, transporting thousands of people when its sleep chambers malfunction. As a result, 2 passengers are awakened 60 years early. It is scheduled for release on December 21st, 2016. Mark, buy or sell the first poster for Passengers?
All right, I'll buy it. I don't really care about it that much. It's nothing, but the movie Passengers is something I'm really excited to see. And the poster, though, it's like, what are you going to put on the poster? I mean, you could sell it a little more in the sci-fi genre by putting a spaceship somewhere on there, but you got Jennifer Lawrence and you got Chris Pratt. Now, stars don't sell movies the way they used to, but you put those 2 faces on a poster, you say it's coming out around Christmas, people are going to want to see it, and it's great counter-programming to the other movie posters that are going to have a film released around Christmas, like Assassin's Creed and Star Wars. So because it looks so different than what those posters are going to look like, I'm going to give it a slight buy, but I'm not crazy about it.
This poster looks like you might as well call it Zoolander 3. It's 2 pretty faces. Who the F cares? No, I sell this poster. Look, I like, personally, this is just my personal taste. I like movie posters that in a single frame capture kind of the spirit of what the movie is. This movie could have just been called 2 Pretty Faces or Zoolander 3 or whatever. And they are very pretty faces. Make no mistake. And make no mistake as well, I'm very excited about this movie. I'm intrigued by it. I can't wait to see what they've got in store. But much like those first still images they put out, it's like they're just standing in a room looking at each other. Then this is the poster. So no, I don't see anything to get excited about over the poster goes. I'm excited for the movie, but I can't get into the poster, so for me it's a sell.
yeah, I'm a science fiction fan. When I first heard about this film, I was like, oh, cool, this sounds experimental. It'll be very interesting, limited amount of people, sort of like Moon. You got a small space with a couple people interacting. I hate this poster. I sell this poster with a vengeance. I cannot stand the death and destruction of the art of the movie poster. This is indicative of just 2 faces staring at you. You're right. It could be a Noxzema ad. It could be any kind of stupid waste of time. It's not what we're gonna see. I was like just imagining while looking at this stupid poster, this horrible, dumb excuse for a poster, what it could have been. And you were saying, yeah, not even show a spaceship, just show Pratt and Lawrence sitting down looking at each other. You don't have to have space in the background, but have a shot of them staring into each other's eyes. You can tell so much in a movie poster about what the film's going to be about and not waste it with these giant dumb faces. It's a horrible poster.
They are very pretty faces. We like their faces.
We love the actors. Yeah, it has nothing to do with that. It's a horrible poster.
Well, I'll get my pizza to go.
Ashley, I'm just curious about your take on this because, I mean, look, these are two big stars.
Yeah.
They're both very pretty people, so hey, well, you know, highlight your ass and stuff. But
Yeah.
when you see a poster like this,
Yeah.
does this jump out to you?
I saw this and this looks like a headshot photographer's website. Like 3 looks for $400. Like what is
That's
this?
good.
No, it looks like there's just 2 headshots put into one poster. Hate it, sell it, buy.
Yeah, but can't you
Nice.
guys like give some credibility to the fact that
No.
maybe they don't want to tell you anything about the movie?
Absolutely not,
That
Mark
They just
Ellis.
want to tell you that these stars are in a movie,
Mark Ellis-
called Passengers, and it makes you want to investigate it more. Not every poster has to be a snapshot of what the movie's about. Sometimes you have to keep the mystery in there. This is me defending a poster
know.
way more than I ever
Then why
wanted
not
to.
just put out a white poster with black text?
Yeah.
Passengers,
Yeah.
Chris
I would've
Pratt,
bought
Jennifer
that
Lawrence.
too. I would've-
All right,
Right.
fair enough. Well, listen, folks, since it is Wednesday, it is time for a little bit of Rewind, brought to you by our good friends at AMC Theaters. When we celebrate and look back at the films celebrating their 10th anniversaries and their 20th anniversaries, little segment I also call the Feeling Old segment, celebrating 10 years this week. Hollywoodland is turning 10 years old this week, and the Sebastian Stan classic, The Covenant. And then going back 20 years, we've got, wow, I can't believe American Buffalo is 20 years old, and Feeling Minnesota. Schnepp, you look at this list of 4 films. Which ones of these stand out to you?
I love David Mamet. I love American Buffalo, but the one that stands out to me the most is Hollywoodland. That's a really fun story. Well, fun is not the right word, but you know, the murder of George Reeves is what it's about. And we had Ben Affleck playing the guy who plays Superman in this film. So
Yeah.
it's a well done mystery. I mean, people still don't know really if George Reeves was murdered or he committed suicide, but that's the one that stands out to me.
Yeah, for a lot of people who weren't believers in Ben Affleck, that was like the first film for a lot of people to go, holy crap, that dude can act.
Totally.
Was when he did that. Anyway, Mark, which of these films stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, Hollywoodland, for no other reason than that's because we were talking about that in a commentary that everybody's going to see very soon, is that's the still image that people get. Ben Affleck in bed with Diane Lane. And
Right.
so it's like, oh, wait a minute. So he slept with Superman's
Batman
mom,
slept with Superman's
which is
mom.
why Superman and Batman are fighting in the new movie. That's canon now. So that's one that stands out to me. I mean, I never checked out American Buffalo. So Hollywoodland, I remember, and that was at a time in Ben Affleck's career when he was kind of on the downslide. He had done the Geelys and all these other movies that didn't necessarily lend to box office results. So it was like, oh yeah, Ben Affleck, he used to be an A-list star. What happened to that guy? And he just started keep popping up in smaller roles
Right.
before his resurgence, both as a director and then as an actor as well.
I don't know why the one that stands out to me here is The Covenant. I remember when we had Sebastian Stan in studio, he plays the Winter Soldier in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He was in studio. I remember we sat down and we talked a bit about The Covenant, because The Covenant was one of the first films that I covered when I came into LA. And he was like a young actor in that. It was one of his first kind of big roles. It's cheesy and awful, but there's something rather kind of entertaining about it at the same time. You know what it was? The Covenant is a CW show, but just put in a major motion picture. That's what The Covenant was, so that's why that one stands out to me. Hey, listen, before we get to our mailbag questions, I want to remind you guys that we do this show live. So a bunch of you guys are watching this show live right now. Thanks so much for joining us. But listen, we save a little bit of time at the end of the show to take your Twitter questions. So if you want to start firing in some questions to Twitter, send them to us at Collider Video, and make sure you're following us on Twitter as well. I also want to remind you that this spectacular episode of Movie Talk is not the only show coming out on Collider Video today. A little bit later today, we've got a little show we like to call Heroes coming out. That's going to be airing, around 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time? 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I stand corrected. Jon Schnepp, you host that little show.
Yeah.
Who's on it with you
We
today?
got super sweaty Robert Meyer Burnett, also known as the Hot Toys guy. We have Ashley V. Robinson and the return of Chris Gore. So definitely check it out. We got into all the news for Sweatland superheroes.
Yeah, also want to let you know there's another little video dropping later today. Maybe that's the one I was thinking of that drops at 5 p.m. We did a little video yesterday we call our commentary of Batman vs. Superman, the Ultimate Edition. That drops on Collider Video a little bit later today. A lot of you guys have been asking us to do a commentary video on that one. It's done. 3 hours, son.
Oh,
Make sure
man.
you check that out a little bit later. All right, folks, now it's time for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a comment or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can just email us anytime at collidervideo@gmail.com. We've pulled out a couple of questions today, so Ashley, what do we got?
Nicholas Meyer writes, Hey Collider crew, Star Trek Beyond came out about a month and a half ago, and so far it has made $155 million domestically and $285 million in total. This is against a budget of $185 million. I know J.J. Abrams has already spoken about plans for Star Trek 4, but does Star Trek Beyond's disappointing numbers put a fourth film in jeopardy? Thanks, and keep up the awesome work.
They certainly don't help, and it is unfortunate that this one, I mean, look, it made a lot of money at the box office, but it did not make enough. And I think at the end of the day, Star Trek Beyond is probably going to cost the studio a little bit of money, which is really unfortunate because in my personal opinion, Star Trek Beyond is the best of the new Star Trek movies. I thought it was just a wonderful, fun film and deserved much better. I can't help but feel that maybe a little bit of the hangover of Star Trek Into Darkness, which I enjoyed, but I know a lot of people didn't, and that probably affected it a little bit. However, I do think the good folks over at Paramount are probably smart enough to know when they look at this and say, look, Star Trek Beyond didn't make the money we wanted it to. But we're looking at the fan reaction and we're looking at the critical reaction. People seem to be now back on board with the Star Trek franchise. They already announced that they got their plans for Star Trek 4 with Chris Hemsworth coming back to play Captain Kirk's dad. So I have a feeling that while they are certainly disappointed and while those low numbers didn't help Star Trek 4's chances, I do believe Paramount realizes, you know what? We're in the right trajectory here. People are back on board with Star Trek. This is a profitable franchise. Let's move ahead with our plans for number 4. So I don't think it's going to affect it. Schnepp, what do you think?
I certainly hope not. I mean, I was a little late to seeing Star Trek Beyond. I didn't see it opening weekend or the second weekend. It was like third weekend, and I absolutely loved it. I agree. It's the best of the third of these 3 films that are in the pocket universe that aren't taking place in the Star Trek universe that is canon to a lot of the Trekkies. A lot of the Trekkies did not like Star Trek Into Darkness, and I think many of them probably came into seeing Star Trek Beyond with some like tinted shades on.
Or didn't go to see it at all.
Yeah, or didn't go to see it at all. But for those who did go see it, they, like myself, could not talk more highly of how much I loved it, how much they showed the interactions between Spock and Kirk, and how this movie is really about how they need each other, even separately. I thought it was a really great story. A lot of people said it reminded them of an episode of Star Trek.
Yeah.
I'll say it just reminded me of Star Trek. I like the shout outs to Leonard Nimoy. There's just so much in the film. It's incredibly well directed. I mean, I was
really
astonished at how amazingly well directed it was. It's from the Fast and the Furious guy. What's his name
Justin
again?
Lin.
Justin Lin did such a fantastic job. Hats off to you for making an incredibly visual, amazing story, and the script itself was great too. So I'm disappointed
By
that
Simon
it didn't.
Pegg.
Yeah, Simon Pegg, man. Sorry, not trying to not mention you. An amazing script as well. So I hope they return. I hope Pegg returns. I hope they keep the entire team together and do a 4th film. That's what I hope. I know it didn't make enough money to maybe say, oh look, let's spend another $100-200 million, but I hope they do.
Well, I'm one of the simpletons that hasn't seen it yet, so you got $12 more coming your way very soon, Star Trek Beyond. And look, the good news for Star Trek fans is Star Trek isn't going anywhere. It's just what incarnation are you going to see Star Trek? Are we going to continue with this cast of characters? And I definitely think we are, because it's just you have too much young talent involved in this franchise right now to just scrap it. Plus, I think what they might want to do with the 4th Star Trek is not look at what they could have done better with Star Trek Beyond, because by all fan accounts, it was a damn good movie. It's maybe with the release date. Maybe you don't drop it in the middle of summer. Maybe it doesn't come out right around Comic-Con. Maybe you do it in a softer landing area, a lot like what DC did with Batman v Superman. When that came out in late March, did not have a lot of competition going against it. If you can find an easier landing spot for a Star Trek 4, I think it's going to do a lot bigger numbers than it did with Star Trek Beyond.
Mark, I'm glad you brought that up, because Star Trek, the reboot, and then Star Trek Into Darkness both came out in May, early May, and made big money. This came out like in the heat of all these other films, and that's why I think it got a little glossed over and forgotten. And this is the 50th anniversary of Star Trek. It's tomorrow is the 50th anniversary of Star Trek existing. They showed the man trap tomorrow. So for all you Trekkies, definitely, if you have not seen Star Trek Beyond, or if you like Star Trek, any incarnation, go to the theater this weekend and see it. It's going to only be in theaters for a few more weeks. Definitely see it in the theater. It's an incredible theatrical experience.
All right, what's next?
David Schurer writes, I'm a big fan and love all the shows you do, especially Nightmares. I recently rewatched episode 4 specifically to look for anything that the movie mentions that Rogue One will need to cover. One specific line by Darth Vader really stood out to me. He says, "I have traced the rebel spies to her. Now she is my only link to finding their secret base." Is this saying that everyone else is dead? It sounds like Vader is saying that he's killed everyone in order to get to her, and now she's the last piece of the puzzle. What do you guys think?
Look, I've said for a long time, I think very, very bad things are going to happen in Rogue One to our heroes. Like when you see that first big picture that came out with that, that room and all the heroes are standing around in that very dirty room, I don't know that one of them is making it out of this movie. I'll be honest with you, I don't know that one of them is making it out. Now, I'm not basing that on anything except pure speculation on my part, but I think this is a war movie. I think it's going to have a more critical downer of an end. But remember, even if everybody dies, like some friends of mine will debate with me and say, well, John, Disney won't let it end on that big of a downer. It's like Disney has made, and through their sub-companies, have made some very dark films in the past. But beyond that, remember, even if they kill everybody off, the movie does end on the high note. The plans get, spoiler, the plans get delivered to Princess Leia. I mean, so ultimately it's a victory for the rebels in Rogue One, but I think for the individuals in Rogue One, I think times are about to get dark. Anyway, Mark, what do you think?
I think it's not going to end well for a lot of people in Rogue One, but I wouldn't necessarily read too much into that Darth Vader comment. First of all, because it happened in 1977. And also, I think that he's more talking about that he traced the rebel spies back to her. Now she's the only link because he believes that she currently has the plans. So even if you knew a bunch of spies stole it, we'll get to the other rebel scum later. We need to get to the one that currently has the plans. We'll worry about who stole them later. We will pillage their entire community. We will set everybody on fire. But first, we got to get to the only link to the current whereabouts of the plans. That is Princess Leia. So maybe there are some survivors that are scattered across the galaxy, and I'm sure Darth Vader's not happy that they helped her that they helped Jyn Erso, whoever ends up getting the plans, but your focus has got to be on Princess Leia. I think that's what he's trying to convey in that message from 40 years before Rogue One comes out.
Yeah, I don't think he was referring to like she's the only semantically. It's like I think a lot of people, maybe even in the reshoots, a lot of people are becoming undead. Like hey, they killed everybody, and then maybe they're like, well, maybe everybody doesn't have to die, and they probably made a little course correction in that way. I don't think that that line is saying that everybody died sacrificing themselves. I think there's our sacrifices, but maybe not death.
But it's a great question. Let's not forget, this is Disney. They murdered Bambi's mom in like the first 5 minutes. You see when they did the Dumbo? They tortured that poor elephant. Disney will kill stuff, guys. Don't be misled.
You do not be fooled. All right, folks, that'll do it for Mailbag. Thanks for writing in all your questions. And once again, don't forget, you can get another question on a show at a later date. Just email us at collidervideo@gmail.com. But for now, I said that we would save a little bit of time to take some of your live Twitter questions. Maybe you got a few minutes to still sneak some in. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Collider Video. Send in your questions there. So Cody's been monitoring the Twitter board back there. Cody, what do we got?
All right, first up from our buddy Patrick Hogue. He says, are there any directors you would like to see take on a genre that they have not yet, like a Tarantino science fiction?
Oh, well, I mean, Tarantino is a director that I've been saying for, first of all, like Tarantino's films are awesome. I would love to see him do something outside of his wheelhouse. I mean, I would love to see him do straight up comedy. I think Tarantino could be a great comedy director because within all of his films, there are moments of incredible hilarity and that's one of the great reasons why his movies are so good is because he peppers in that balance every once in a while. Straight up comedy, a comic book film, a sci-fi, a murder mystery. I don't know. I would love to see what Tarantino would do, taking all those tools he has, take them out of his comfort zone a little bit and do something else. I would be totally intrigued by it. Who can you see doing something a little bit different?
It's funny, like I've just thought, I mean, I don't know if this would even work, but Scorsese doing a science fiction film, that could be crazy.
Wow, yeah.
I mean, it would be definitely out of the beaten realm. It would be brand new style, so I would like to see that.
Christopher Nolan doing a rom-com. No? All right.
Just a lot of all this bong. I love you, bong. What? I would actually go with Robert Rodriguez doing a comedy. He's the guy that I think he's got such comedic hints in his movies, and he's done them already with the machetes. But that's like I want to see him more do straight comedy, not have machete in outer space kind of stuff. I like to see more of a grounded, down to earth. Can be violent, don't get me wrong, but I like to see him do something humorous. And another guy that I always wanted to see step out of the horror genre was Scott Derrickson. Maybe if he could do a sci-fi comic book movie. Oh wait, he is. My dreams are literally coming
That's
true
true.
with Doctor Strange.
All right, what's next?
All right, Lover of Comics 94 says, which other actors would you like to see awarded with a Lifetime Achievement Oscar?
Oh, that's a really good question. You know, we mentioned a little bit earlier in the show that Jackie Chan has one coming. I think there are a couple of guys that I hear a lot of people mention they would love to see get one, but I don't want to see them get one because I think they still got some time left to just straight up win one on their own. Gary Oldman is a name that comes up a lot, but you know what? Gary Oldman ain't that old. Give him a few more years to capture one of his own. 15 more years passing Gary Oldman hasn't nabbed one, then I think absolutely his body of work speaks where you give him one. I would love to see like an actor who isn't an A-list name, but has just done nothing but deliver their whole career. There's a little actor by the name of David Morse. You might have heard me talk about this
he's
dude
great.
before. He is awesome, whether it's The Green Mile, Contact, Hurt Locker, The Rock, or doing something like with Jamie Foxx. What was that Jamie Foxx when he was running from the CIA? He's like, I'm missing the name, but anyway, a guy like David Morse who just like delivers nothing but excellent performances in supportive roles, and he just helps make all these great movies great. I would really be interested in seeing a guy like that get like an honorary Oscar. I don't know, when you think of an honorary Oscar, now that we see, you know, Jackie Chan getting one, what names
Right.
pop to your mind that you think should maybe be worthy of getting one of those?
I thought about Christopher Walken right off the bat.
Oh, wow,
I
yeah.
loved him in Dead Zone. I loved him in, We'll Go Cheese for a minute, Prophecy, but he's been in amazing films. He's always a great supporting actor, and he's also amazing as a lead. So he'd be one. Malcolm McDowell would be another one.
I mean, I think you look at guys who are considered like the best of their generation, and Robert Downey Jr. was always one of those guys. He never won an Oscar. He hasn't at least won one yet, but you're right, John. He still has plenty of time. If you're looking at it as the Lifetime Achievement Award, where, hey, you're probably not going to be in too many movie roles left, so here's your Oscar. I'm not saying it's going to happen yet, but Harrison Ford definitely deserves something, if he hasn't already received it.
I think that's probably a foregone conclusion,
Tom
right?
Cruise
Great name.
definitely earned something if he hasn't gotten it already. Ed Harris is another guy that has never won an Oscar, I don't believe, but man, he is so good. Every time he shows up, even if he's just cashing a paycheck, Ed Harris is a cut above most people.
I agree.
And somebody else I would say is Sigourney Weaver, who I think she's been nominated a couple times, but every time she shows up, she adds such a level of class and badassery at the same time that I've never seen another performer be able to bring.
Ed Harris, nominated for 4 Academy Awards, has not won one. Christopher Walken did win
Deer
an Academy
Hunter, right?
Award.
Deer Hunter.
1979 Deer Hunter Best Supporting
Supporting
Actor.
Okay,
Yes.
right on.
So there we go. All right. What's next?
All right, Alex Burton 482 says Aliens or Terminator 2, which is the better James Cameron sequel?
Speaking of Sigourney,
Sophie's choice.
I just sung the praises of Ellen Ripley, and I love her to death. I'm going T2 all day, baby.
Dude, I'm going Aliens, yo. I mean, I love both of those movies. I just rewatched Alien and Aliens on the plane like a couple months back. But Terminator is the ultimate original one, and Terminator 2 it adds to it, it pluses it, but I could always go back and watch the original Terminator. Aliens adds and pluses and makes a totally different film. You watch Alien, that's one kind of film. Aliens is a completely different
It's a
kind of
total
film.
genre shift,
Yeah,
yeah.
total genre shift, but it's so much fun. Literally, it's a little bit of like, you have Terminator 2 right there, and then Aliens is just a little bit above it.
You know, it's funny. This is one of those rare instances where you got a director who produced sequels to great movies where the sequels were even better than the originals. And I love Terminator 2. I love that movie. But Aliens might be the all-time greatest horror / action / sci-fi film.
Game over, dude.
Ever. Like, ever. That movie is like, so I love Terminator 2. There's no going wrong with that, but I would personally have to go with Aliens. It's so iconically good. All right, we got time for 2 more.
All right, Solo Junior 1 says, what is the best origin story in a film?
Oh, origin story. Good question. You know what? The first Christopher Nolan Batman, Batman Begins, I believe it was called. That was a really nice, because it's one of those things where like, okay, we all know we had 5 other Batman movies or however many there were before that. We know Batman's origin. Even people don't read the comics, we know Batman's origin. But you know what? The way Christopher Nolan did his origin on that, I thought was very creative, very well done, and I'm not saying the movie is the best, but from a straight up, really interesting, entertaining origin story, I loved Ant-Man. I loved Ant-Man as an origin. I thought that was a really great kind of
Is the
kickoff.
question superhero related? Because I was going to say The Godfather Part 1 and 2. I love seeing the
God,
of the Corleone family. Like you see the Godfather, and then you see how he
see
became.
Michael's origin, then you see Vito's origin.
I like that.
Yeah.
That story has that kind of epic quality. If we were going to go with an origin for a superhero, I would pick an odd one. Kick-Ass was a lot of fun.
That's great.
It's
That
just
was
a
a lot
very
of fun.
off the wall, kind of off book, but it was fun.
Yeah, I would say the first Rocky's pretty good origin story as well.
Oh,
If I was
yeah.
going in the superhero genre, I was doing some research and watched Iron Man. Also, I love Iron Man, and it's great. The origin story of Tony Stark, seeing such a character shift in somebody's mentality because they went through such a harrowing experience, how they got out of that experience in the first place. It's a really, really well done. That might be. I love the Avengers and I love a lot of movies in the MCU, but my favorite hour of entertainment that Marvel's given us is probably the first hour of Iron Man. It's so perfect.
All right, last question of the day.
All right, here we go. Hoovy and Harry 22 says, how would you feel about Taron Egerton playing Robin in the solo Batman movie?
I'm the wrong guy to ask because I don't want a Robin. I just don't. So I mean,
But it could be Taron Egerton, John.
Taron Egerton is a great performer. You can take a 25-year-old Harrison Ford. I still wouldn't want it. I mean, I'm not interested. Look, I get crap for this all the time, and that's fair. I love Robin in the animated stuff. I love Robin. You're gonna have a hard time finding people who know their Robin comic book history better than I. I love Robin in the comic history and all the lineage of the Robins that have come. But I just don't see it being a great fit. I like the way Warner Brothers approached Robin, acknowledging there was a Robin in existence at some point, but seeing this particular Batman running around with a boy wonder, that's just my personal opinion. I don't personally see it. If they did it, I would go, you know what? I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's go in with an open mind and see it. But if you're going to ask me if I want it, I don't, regardless of what actor you have playing it. I don't know, Schnepp, what do you think about this?
That'd be a hard call in the DC, cinematic universe that they've established, because now you're looking at you have Bruce Wayne looking at his dead partner's, costume that he has as a
he
monument.
put up in the center of the Batcave.
Yeah, so
Yes.
it's a reminder to never again take someone else's life, as at risk as a partner, because look what happened. The Joker beat him to death. I think if you were going to have a Robin, it would be a Nightwing. Taron Egerton could play Nightwing. We're not saying that
That's
Dick
a
Grayson...
that's a different
I know,
opportunity.
But we're not
Yeah.
saying Dick Grayson died. He moved on and became his own hero in this new DC cinematic universe. And I would believe that a younger Batman would take on an apprentice. And he took on a Robin, and he took on Dick Grayson. And Dick Grayson moved on, and then he got Jason Todd. And then Jason Todd died.
Which nothing in Man of Steel or Batman versus Superman was said that would contradict the idea that the Robin that died was not the original Robin.
Right.
So it goes exactly to what it is you're saying.
I think that would be the smart play, because I think an older Batman like the Bruce Wayne that Ben Affleck is playing wouldn't do that, wouldn't put someone that young at risk. So
I love where your head's at, but we also know that they're not necessarily going to shy away from doing either flashbacks or a nightmare sequence or a dream sequence where Taron Egerton could come in and be, he could be Robin for 5 minutes. It's not going to be like the adventures of Batman and Robin in the new movie, but you could have him in some sort of flashback sequence, just show what happened to Robin or show his interaction with Robin as a part of the story element of Bruce Wayne's psyche going forward on whatever adventure he's on.
I think what you're changing my opinion on this a little bit, because I think Taron Egerton coming back as an older Dick Grayson,
Right.
that works. I guess what my initial, because when you look at the dead suit, that wasn't the suit of an 11-year-old
No,
kid. That was a
that's-
suit of a 19,
that's a
20-year
man,
full-grown
yeah.
man. I would be down for Taron Egerton to say coming in and saying being Dick Grayson. Like he's a 24, 25-year-old guy now been fighting crime on his own, blah, 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 blah. I'm down for that. What I kind of bristle against is against the idea of a very popular Damian Wayne, who is, the
I don't
current
wanna see
Robin.
that.
Or then they killed him. Anyway, Damian Wayne, like an 11-year-old kid with a stick.
Right.
I mean, no, I don't think Batman would bring along an 11-year-old kid with a stick in this cinematic universe.
Yeah, especially in the cinematic universe. That's what varies from comic books to movies when you have those kind of adaptations, especially also in this darker world that the DC universe is. So.
Well, it explains why Robin died. I mean, you give an 11-year-old kid a full-grown man's outfit, he's probably going to die.
He's tripping over things.
Oh, man.
It's like you and your dad's suit that you wear there sometimes. Yeah.
Hey, the Schmodown that we need a better tailor, but everything else is going fine.
Well, listen, folks, that'll do it for us for this installment of Collider Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. And once again, a special thanks to our friends at Paramount for bringing by that incredible pizza, which we are going to be diving into here pretty soon and showing off some of this amazing artwork. Like I said, make sure you're following us on Twitter at Collider Video. We're going to make sure we take pictures of all these incredible paintings and put them up there because they're an awful lot of fun to see. And once again, remember, the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's a tongue twister. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows is available digitally already, and this Blu-ray becomes available on the 20th. Schnepp's holding up that Blu-ray right now. That becomes available on the 20th, so make sure you check that out. I want to thank the people sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting to my left, the aforementioned Mr. Jon Schnepp, host of Heroes. Schnepp, where can people find you?
You can find me on Heroes later today at 2 o'clock. We're going to drop the latest episode, and also on Collider Nightmares. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram just at Jon Schnepp. And we're going to do a bunch of Collider Heroes panels at Long Beach Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, and Kamikaze. We're going West Coast, East Coast, West Coast. We'll see you there.
Sitting over here on my right, Mr. Mark Ellis, not wearing his father's suit today. Mark, where can people find you online?
Wearing my buddy Leo's outfit, though. You said New York Comic-Con, Schnepp? Very interesting. Schmo's No live show tomorrow night, which is Thursday night, 7 to 9 p.m. PST. And then Friday, the Ultimate Schmodown tournament continues with me in the ring going against Sam Levine. He's a savant. I've been working out, and now I have my costume. I'm ready to do battle on Friday.
The always wonderful Miss Ashley Mova. Ashley, where can people find you online?
On Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Ashley Mova. Happy Wednesday, guys.
Sitting back there filling in for Wendy today's Cody. Cody, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at @TheRealCodyHall.
And you guys can follow me. You guys can follow me on Facebook and on Twitter, simply at John Campea. And make sure you watch mine and Jon Schnepp's show, Film HQ, on the Comic-Con HQ network. New episodes airing every Saturday. We have an awful lot of fun with that show. Make sure you come on over to Comic-Con HQ and check us out there. And a special thanks to you guys. Remember, the most important part about this show is not what we have to say, it's what you have to say. Make sure you jump in the comment section of this video. Leave your thoughts on any or all of the topics that we discussed here today. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.